right, everybody, this is Aaron Breitman. I'm from the Scarlet Faithful. A few minutes after the Rutgers come from behind victory over Boston College. This is something I'm going to do after every football game, probably every basketball game, other big games within Rutgers during the school year. It's just off the cuff, instant reaction. It's not going to be, perfect, but just thought it was another way to cover things and, connect with fans and hopefully you find this useful. So just in terms of this win, I really believe this is one of the biggest wins of Greg Schiano's history at Rutgers. First tenure, second tenure. I know it's easy to say that right after a game, but for what they did, the importance of year three at Rutgers, the expectations, not really super high this year, but I've always felt going into this year, 2023, you going into that, that's when expectations are really going to ramp up. So to have an opening win like this in his third season, 2022, young team, 70% of the rosters, freshmen and sophomores, to have this type of victory, a path to 3-0 is right in front of your face with Iowa, who beat, by the way, South Dakota State 7-3 today at home. I know I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. My head is all over the place. What an emotional victory, down 21-12 in the third quarter. BC was pretty much in control. Extremely frustrating first half for Rutgers. 8 penalties. Just a revolving door at quarterback. 3 different quarterbacks on the first 3 plays of the game. Classic Schiano. I almost feel like he did it on purpose with the whole chess match, with not revealing who was going to play. It was a pretty steady rotation between Evan Simon and Gavin Wimsatt throughout the game. We'll get to that a little bit at the end. But overall, it was a pretty frustrating first half. A lot of penalties. I think the offensive line, part of their problems in the first half was just getting used to that constant shuffling at quarterback. But there were a few bad penalties, as to be expected in the season opener. But it was just too many of them in the first half. But there you are. You don't play great offensively at all, and you're only down 1 score at the half. The defense was tremendous the whole game. Obviously, Zay Flowers was a problem, the wide receiver for Boston College, 10 catches, 125 yards. But listen, that's the one guy that beat them all game, and that was it. They held BC to 29 yards rushing the entire game, which is pretty phenomenal. The defensive line looked very, very good. I thought the secondary stepped up and played really well. Robert Longerbeam with a huge interception in that third quarter that set up the field goal, I believe. But really, that last drive of the game, starting on your own 4-yard line, 12 plays, 12 rushes, and Al-Shadi Salam, 45 yards on the last 2 carries, a 23-yarder and a 22-yarder. Talk about just the game setting up. As much criticism as, people were kind of lofting online throughout the game of Schiano's, kind of strategy with the quarterbacks, maybe the play calling, whatever. It's set up perfectly for Rutgers to just wear down Boston College. As much talk as the Rutgers offensive line there was coming into the game about their inexperience, that BC offensive line was brand new, and it showed down the stretch. And Rutgers' defensive line wore them down. Then you have the rushing attack, the offensive line for Rutgers they came together in that fourth quarter, and they bullied the BC defensive line, which I don't think anybody saw coming. And the way they were able to the whole game was almost like I don't know if that's just kind of a microcosm of where this program has come, and they're able to come together the way they did in that fourth quarter. Obviously, it's one game. I personally hate overreactions after one game, good or bad. I'm sure a bowl trip is in everyone's thoughts right now. But we have to take it one game at a time, especially with such a young team. But listen, this is super positive. And let me just say personally, beating Boston College is one of my favorite teams to beat. I have a lot of friends that went there. Former Big East foe. I was at that 1991 game, the first Big East game ever. Really no one in the national media gave him a chance. Everyone on ESPN Game Day, College Game Day, picked Boston College. They were over a touchdown favorite. The Boston College media was completely writing Rutgers off this week. And, listen, most of the Rutgers media and didn't think they were going to win either. So I think, expectations certainly go up now. But at the same time, I think, we have to understand there's going to be ups and downs. I think like this game, we're going to see ups and downs throughout. But the defense just, with Joe Harismiak, the new defensive coordinator, had Minnesota number 2 in the Big Ten last year. Rutgers was 11th. One of my big predictions was that Rutgers was going to be a top half Big Ten defense this year. They look like it today. And that Boston College offense, as bad as their offensive line played down the stretch, it's a credit to the defensive line of Rutgers. And they have NFL talent. I mean, Phil Dracovic, he had 3 touchdowns. He threw for almost 300 yards, but he was pressured most of the second half. He was sacked 4 times. He had 2 interceptions. Rutgers played really well against that type of, talent. Pat Garwo had 1,000 yards rushing last year, and they had 29 in the whole game. So a lot to be excited about. That secondary for Rutgers really played well. The defensive line. And listen, shout out to the 2 linebackers, Tareem Powell. I believe he was credited with 2 sacks. Deion Jennings, who I predicted to be the most improved player on this team, really came out and just, I thought, played a great game. Was huge. And I thought the defense as a whole is way ahead of where we had hoped they would be. I'm in my son's bedroom, by the way, hence the teddy bear, my 2-year-old. Anyway, long story short, unbelievable victory. Can't believe that they won it the way they did, down 21-12, came from behind. It's just really such a boon for the rest of the season, just fan expectations and the team's confidence for such a young team. And this is the 3rd year in a row now. The first Power 5 opponent, all 3 coming on the road, all 3 Rutgers wins, at Michigan State, at Syracuse, at Boston College. Just absolutely huge statement for the program and a sign that, hey, we're not where we want to be yet, but this is an obvious sign that things are going in the right direction. The BC folks have huge expectations for this year. They're thinking 8-4 in the ACC, which is, not a good conference at all. Rutgers is obviously in the Big Ten East. You saw Indiana beat Illinois this week. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a straight line towards progress, but a win today just does so much for the rest of this season. Even if they don't make a bowl game, you can hang your hats on this win the whole season. Hopefully, we'll see how good Boston College actually becomes. But this gives you a real chance now to get to 3-0. You have Iowa at home, you have Nebraska at home, you have Indiana at home. Listen, the road to bowl eligibility just went from a loss to, very little to a win, completely opening that door now. So progress overall. There's plenty to discuss about the quarterback situation. Gavin Wimsatt, I thought, looked good at times, obviously made some mistakes. Evan Simon, he was 8 of 12. Not a bad showing at all. But I have some opinions on where I think they should go. I think, there's no reason not to hand the keys to Wimsatt at this point, but we can get into that. But despite it all, listen, credit to Schiano and his staff. They had the ball with a chance to win, and they won it. And the defense delivered them that opportunity, and the offense rewarded them. And it was just tremendous to see. So great victory. Thanks for listening. Thanks for reading. Thanks for watching. I'll have plenty more post-game coverage here at the Scarlet Faithful.